Welcome to Central News. I'm Hilary Entwistle. In today's news, environmental projects in the Bay can seek a boost to their budget, with community groups now able to apply for funds year-round. The change, which makes the Bay of Plenty Regional Council's Environmental Enhancement Fund an open season source, replaces a previous contestable funding system held at a set time each year. The new year-round option begins July the 1st. Established in 2000, the fund has so far distributed more than $7.5 million to almost 500 environmental projects throughout the region. Tauranga Iwi Ngāti Pukenga has today signed a deed of settlement with the Crown to settle its Treaty of Waitangi claims. Hundreds of members of Ngāti Pukenga, other iwi guests and representatives of the Crown gathered at Te Whutu o Te Rangi Marae at Welcome Bay today to sign a deed of settlement. Ngāti Pukenga was left virtually landless after the Crown initiated military conflict in 1864 and subsequently confiscated large tracts of land in the Western Bay of Plenty. This was despite the fact Ngāti Pukenga had honoured an early agreement with the Crown not to engage in the conflict. Minister for Treaty of Waitangi negotiations Christopher Finlayson says the confiscation of land can never really be compensated for. Whakatane's quest to be crowned Kiwi capital of the world was given extra wings yesterday with the launch of Pō Kiwi, New Zealand's only night vision-equipped wild kiwi spotting experience. Developed by local boutique tourism operator Native Connections NZ, the experience takes place on the Kohi Point Scenic Reserve, an isolated pocket of native bush inhabited by a number of North Island brown kiwi, currently being monitored by the Whakatane Kiwi project. Native Connections Managing Director William Stewart says the nighttime experience has a strong storytelling element, fusing Māori legends, local traditions and professional grade night vision technology to create product boasting some very strong points of difference. Now for our region's weather. Hamilton, your Tuesday will have sunny spells with the chance of a shower. Your expected high is 21 and an overnight low of 8. Tauranga, your Tuesday will be mostly fine with the chance of a late shower. Your expected high is 21 and an overnight low of 12. Just ahead, tooth decay in children's teeth. Welcome to Central News on TV Central. An alarming rate of Waikato preschoolers have been found with tooth decay in a recent oral health report on 5-year-olds. Diane Pevriel tells us what changes parents should be looking for in their children's teeth. So what are the recent statistics of tooth decay found in preschoolers in the Waikato?
42% of preschoolers have got decay, so for us that's quite concerning because that's close to 1 out of every 2 that have experienced decay by the time they're 5 years of age.
What exactly is tooth decay?
Tooth decay, sometimes it's called a cavity or sometimes it's called a hole in your tooth. You need 3 things for that to happen. So you've got to have natural teeth, you've got to have plaque and you've got to have sugar for it to happen. So every time you eat sugar it turns into an acid with the bacteria that's in the plaque actually turning it into an acid. The plaque also holds it close to a tooth, so where it sits on the tooth it starts to lead to destruction of the tooth or taking the minerals out. So it's an acid attack on teeth.
And what is happening when the tooth is decaying?
When it's decaying, the minerals are being taken out of the tooth and it starts on the outer layer on the enamel, but then it starts working into the inner layers, the dentine, which is the next layer down, and after that it ends up in the nerves of the tooth, which is the pulp. It also spreads into neighbouring teeth if it's in the in-between surfaces of teeth, so more than one tooth can quickly become affected.
Is Waikato any worse than other regions?
We're around about average for New Zealand. We have quite a high decay rate compared to some other regions. The South Island's got much better decay statistics, and where there's fluoridated water, there's generally better statistics than Waikato. That's got a bit of a mix of fluoride, non-fluoride.
Has the problem got worse?
The problem has increased, and we see a change even from last year, where we were running at around about a difference of 3% in the number of kids with decay. So we only had 39% of children that had decay last year. This year it's 42%, so that's quite a concern for the 5-year-old group.
If tooth decay is present, on average, how many other teeth are affected?
That's looking really horrific. 5 teeth will be affected, and you've only got 20 teeth when you're 5 years of age, so that's around about a quarter of your mouth that's affected. We also know that if you've got decay, that's a pretty good indicator that you're going to get it again in your life, and it's going to be a problem for you throughout your life course. So 5's a pretty serious start to life at 5 years of age.
And what is the procedure to fix this?
It depends on how deep the decay is and a number of other factors around a child and what their anxiety level is like. But sometimes it can require care at hospital. In fact, it's one of the most frequent causes for hospital admission for children to get their teeth fixed from decay. In the dental clinic for 5 fillings, that's around about 2.5 to 3 hours of dental care, which is quite a bit for any little-y to keep their mouth open for that length of time. Obviously that's spread over a number of appointments, but the more often that you visit a dental clinic, it tends to be one of those things that you become more anxious about. So the more complex a treatment, the more anxiety you have. We also know that down the track that if you've got teeth taken out, that can lead to expensive orthodontic care that's needed, and low self-esteem for kids who've got teeth that look that other children perceive to look ugly or different to them, and it affects speech to have missing teeth. So those front teeth are quite important for making the T sounds and the S sounds, and you take those out and children miss out on learning how to make those sounds. They're also important for eating, so without teeth it becomes quite difficult, and here in hospital we sometimes have children have 16 teeth taken out, so you haven't got very much left to help you eat. You're back to baby food for a lot of those kids. It's quite difficult.
How can parents prevent tooth decay in their children's teeth?
Really, parents need to take control of what their children are eating and drinking, and we're advocating focusing on drinking water or milk as drinks, and cutting out some of the sweet stuff, which is a fizzy. And a lot of people get tripped up on fruit juice that they perceive to be healthy, but it's actually quite high sugar and quite acidic in its pH content. We're also promoting visit the dental clinic from 1 year of age, because you'll have some support and some help around what's good to do for your child. We can also put protective coatings on teeth and strengthen them to make them more resistant against decay. We advocate brushing twice a day for preschoolers. The oral health survey that was conducted in 2009 showed only 15% of preschoolers brush their teeth twice a day with a fluoridated toothpaste. So there's quite a bit that we can do to improve just with brushing and getting rid of that plaque. Then there's nowhere for the acid to sit on teeth. It will improve the rates of tooth decay.
So it's not just about the sugar, it's about the acid we're eating as well?
It can be the amount of acid, but sugar makes acid. So the more sugar we eat, then the more acid attacks we're going to have on our teeth. And New Zealand has amongst the highest sugar consumption in the world. In fact, we eat more than the Americans and more than the Australians or the English Brits.
And what changes should parents be looking for in their children's teeth?
It's easy to check children's teeth, and sometimes for parents the decay happens so rapidly that they believe that their children's teeth are short of minerals as they're coming through, because they're decaying as they're actually coming into their mouth. Look for pieces of teeth that are missing, look for pieces that have turned brown, look for shadows, look for stains, and look for plaque. If there's plaque around teeth, then there's likely to be some decay lurking in underneath that.
If you are worried about your children's teeth or would like more information, contact 0800 Talk Teeth. Coming up next, fire safety. Welcome back. In the weekend, we turned back our clocks for daylight savings, which is always a good time to check our smoke alarms and to remind ourselves about fire safety. So what is your position in the Thames Valley emergency operating area, and what does your role involve?
I actually wear two hats. Primarily I'm the manager of the civil defence for the 3 district councils, Thames, Coromandel, Matamata, Piako and Hauraki, and I also chair the Rural Fire Committee, and the councils again have an arrangement, and the Thames Valley Rural Fire District is the 3 councils' responsibilities in terms of rural fire as rural fire authorities are shared, so I look after those 2 areas specifically.
So tell me, what are the main causes of a house fire in New Zealand?
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter whether we look at urban or rural environments, the statistics show that the majority of house fires are actually caused by unattended cooking, and in a lot of cases the unattended cooking's exaggerated by the fact that people have consumed alcohol. So alcohol actually plays a large part in fatal fires in houses, and as well as just the cause of fires in domestic environment. But it's certainly unattended cooking is recognised as the major cause of fires in homes in New Zealand.
Because that's completely preventable, really, isn't it?
It is, but we're human beings at the end of the day, and there's things that distract us when we're in the home, and especially if we've consumed alcohol, you know, that's the danger of falling asleep once we've come home and put something on the stove. And if we're busy trying to get dinner and looking after children and large families and environments, it's very easy for people to become distracted. So hence the reason we really encourage people to have smoke alarms in their homes, and obviously, you know, the New Zealand Fire Service reinforces it with their national advertising campaigns, that, you know, you've got to keep looking while you're cooking, and that's basically the same message whether you're in an urban area or a rural fire area.
Are there electrical faults quite actually that big a cause?
There are some, but they don't actually show up as a large percentage. The majority of fires are actually those cooking fires, and then we get a variety across the areas of electric blankets do cause some fires. One of the other common ones is disposal of materials from fires after you've had an open fire. That's still quite a common cause, so that's why the fire service and we as a rural fire authority encourage people to make sure that you know, as the winter comes on, make sure you clean the flues in your chimneys and fireplaces, and also if you're disposing of hot ashes, they need to go into a metal container for a few days before they're disposed of into other waste.
Do we need to be putting water on them, or is just putting it in a metal container?
If you're putting them in a metal container, it's probably not a bad idea just to dampen them down, but you certainly need to leave them 3 or 4 days before you dispose of them.
So how can we get the message across of that important message? You've got to be installing smoke alarms.
I think one of the realities is you know, the best time to promote things is when a disaster happens, and that's usually the best time to bring the message to the public's attention. But through the New Zealand Fire Service commitment with their national advertising program, we piggyback on the back of that to really promote the use of smoke alarms and regularly checking smoke alarms. And there's, you know, New Zealand Fire Service has a good website in terms of smoke alarm installation. Manufacturers put good details on their packaging as to where and how to install smoke alarms.
Where's the best place to install a smoke alarm? Obviously not in the kitchen.
There's a variety of smoke alarms available on the market now, and the New Zealand Fire Service recommend photoelectric smoke alarms. They were expensive, but now are reasonably cost effective to purchase and install. They're less susceptible to actuation by cooking fumes and that, but depending on your budget, the minimum is you should have smoke alarms in your sleeping areas, and certainly in any hallways. And if you're building new or doing major building renovations, you're actually required under the building codes to install smoke alarms to the building code standards. So you need to check with your local council if you're doing building work or doing renovations as to where those smoke alarms should be installed. And that information is also available online through the Building Industry Authority.
And yeah, I guess the job doesn't just stop at actually installing our alarms. We need to be checking them regularly. Yeah,
they need to be maintained. So weekly when you're vacuuming and that's a good idea just to vacuum your smoke alarms to get any dust out. They should be tested monthly, and there's a variety of different alarms on the market. Some can be tested by shining a torchlight at them. Others, the end of a broomstick will do the job if they're on the ceiling and that. And obviously with daylight saving, you have the opportunity, the fire service promote it with change to the clock to check your smoke alarm, change your battery. And fortunately today there is available on the market permanently wired smoke alarms and smoke detector systems for homes that have battery backup, and you can also buy off the shelf 10-year battery life smoke alarms, and we recommend those to people. Choose photoelectric, choose 10-year battery, and you're less likely to experience the beeping at 3 o'clock in the morning that says the battery's flat.
So what do we do if a fire does break out?
Basic rules is always raise the alarm of fire by shouting fire, making sure everybody in the house knows there's a fire, get everybody outside, have a place of assembly. In urban areas it's usually the letterbox. That may not be practical in the rural, but you need to identify an area that's away from the building on fire where everybody can gather, be accounted for. Children and others in the house, everybody should be taught an escape plan, and they should practice that, and they should be able to get there on their own without having to be assisted. So it's really important that we have escape plans for our homes, and obviously once you're outside, stay outside. Going back into a burning building on fire is extremely dangerous, even for an able-bodied person. The oxygen levels are going down because of the fire combustion. The heat is extremely high inside a building, so get everybody out, stay out, and then call the fire brigade. And it's a really good idea to make sure children, everybody in the house, knows the street address, understands that when they make a 111 call, they'll talk to an operator who will then put them onto either fire, police or ambulance. And knowing your address, knowing your rural delivery number is all helpful. And likewise, when you're driving a car, you know, it's keeping an eye on where you are on the highway, what was the last street you went past. It just helps the operators in the control rooms identify your location.
Just ahead, some very talented kids from Mount Maunganui. If you have just joined us, welcome to Central News. Hip-hop dancers from Urban Dance took out the Waikato Bay of Plenty Regionals and will be competing in the Nationals later this month, where if they win, they will compete in the World Champs in Las Vegas. I caught up with the leaders of the groups and we were lucky enough to get a special performance. Tell us what the Nationals are.
The Nationals is where crews from all over New Zealand come to battle it out to gain a spot to go to the Worlds.
What did your teams have to do to qualify?
So all our crews had to go to the Waikato Bay of Plenty Regionals. We had to compete against crews from Gisborne, from Rotorua, from Whakatane, from Te Awamutu and from Hamilton, and they had to gain a top 3 placing to be able to go through to the Nationals.
And what dance routine did your team do?
Our team did a mixture of voguing, reggaeton and whacking.
If one of your team does win the Nationals, where do they go?
Well, the 3 crews with the 3 highest scores, they qualified to the World Hip Hop Championships in Las Vegas, and they just battle it out to win gold.
And what dance routine did your team do?
We had quite a lot of styles. We had swag, breaking, whacking, ISO, pop, and another swag.
So what will your teams do to prepare for the Nationals?
On average we have about 4 trainings a week. They're about 5 hours long, and before each training we have about an hour of cardio. We're having practices all through the Easter weekend and up till Nationals.
And do you need to work on cardio and strength training, or is it just simply practice?
Definitely, like I said, with the cardio we have an hour before each training. We do running 300s to focus on your core, and we go for like run-up mounts and stuff, so yeah.
How do you fund your trips and things for these competitions?
We do market stalls, we do raffles, we've done a hangy, and we do gigs and performances to get the support from the community.
So who is your biggest threat at the Nationals?
Well, for Hysteria, the Auckland crews are quite good, but CKC from Wellington. And for our varsity crew, there was quite a lot of competition, like Crash, MIA, Lost Boys, and Sorority, who won Nationals last year.
Can you tell us what your teams are preparing for the Nationals?
Our teams need to bring a really intense set to Nationals and going to make sure it's really tight and everything's in unison.
Tell us a little bit about Urban Dance.
So Urban Dance is a youth trust, and we aim to provide youth the opportunity to grow, develop, create and express through urban street dance. So we find that when kids are positively involved in physical activity, they have transferable skills into their everyday lives. So we find that they do better at school, they have better relationships with their families and their friends, and they're more positive in their everyday life.
And you recently had The Wiz. Tell us about that.
The Wiz is a street dance version of The Wizard of Oz, following Dorothy down the twists and turns of the Yellow Brick Road.
So how hard is it to organise the costumes, the routines, the choreography, the makeup, the music, everything, and then make sure that it all comes together on that night?
It certainly is a team effort. So we have a really good, strong team of parents. Each crew has a manager, and that manager is under the responsibility of our company manager. Our company manager is Kate, and she has the checklists, and she makes sure that everything is checked off. Each crew has their own kit bag. Each manager makes sure that the costumes are washed and ready. Each manager makes sure everyone has the right shoes and socks. Everyone has to wear black underwear, and yeah, it's a team effort. We certainly couldn't do it ourselves, and we certainly have a really strong team of parents and supporters that help us out.
We don't make it behind, and got me on the kick. Just money on the line, got them all psyched in my rhymes. All around the region. It's a rap. Better get them in the wrist and bring them back.
Great spending time with Stone, this date's ending. Now picture us rolling with our 808s bending.
Very talented people, and we wish them all the best for the Nationals. Visit urbandancenz.com to find out more. That is the news for today. We really want you to be involved, so like us on Facebook and let us know your views. If you have news including your own video and photos, go to our website and hit upload. Thanks for joining us. I will be back tomorrow night with more guests from in and around the regions. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Have a lovely evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.